asking me to be part of this night. I'm with a lot of people that are award-winning writers, and I'm very pleased to be here. Thank you. The one thing I did want to say is that I worked all day today to look as cool as possible. And then I get here, take my hat off, go downstairs, look at this gigantic mirror in the hallway, and I look like a middle-aged Sid Vicious with shock treatment. Like there's hair here, there's hair here. You know, it's no fun being middle-aged. It's just, you try and you try. So, one of my favorite, thank you. One of my favorite poets is Emily Dickinson, and she's an amazing artist because she never, I don't think she ever published anything while she was alive. I think what she did was she put like 15 to 1,800 poems in a drawer and asked her sister to destroy it, I think, on her death. And her sister, luckily for us, found the poems and had them published. And each one is brilliant and a gem. I did a book called Famous for Falling. It's coming out February 4th with Lyrical America Press at the supermarket. And it's about people, some you may know, some you may not know, that are famous for literally for falling itself, for collapsing whatever way they did. And she wrote a poem on fame. I just want to read it to you, and then I'll perform my own stuff. Fame is the one that does not stay. Its occupant must die, or out of sight of estimate, ascend incessantly, or be that most insolvent thing, a lightning in the germ electrical, the embryo that we demand the flame. Beautiful. A long time ago, I did a poem for my brother. My brother's in the armed forces, and he is an expert in radar technology. So he was in charge of flying AWACS over Iraq so that they could do their targeting before the war. And my brother's Canadian, but he was part of the Saudi Arabian contingent. Anyway, a year later, after the fiasco of that war, he was actually watching breakfast television, and he knew I was on it, so I read him a poem called Unkilled to the End. Unkilled to the end. Unkill, unkill, David. Let down your sling, let down your bow, let down the rock, let down the stone, let go lying down to green pastures, to die of diseases, of old adjectives, or whatever the ill. Brother, let the words fall. Let the steamroller steam over the roses, over the roads, to die eventually in woe of waters, to lay on a beach in and of its own accord, to be finally a rusted heap, a shipwreck with no oars to run, no rudders to run, no position to make for, no oars to ply the starry sky. Unkill, brother, unkill the women, unkill the men, unkill the children, unkill. And if words be stones, let missiles of hate come and go, unanswered from the turrets of the keep. Let the world whimper without the bang of your conceit. Unkill, brother, unkill to the end. Now I'm going to read something from, oh, thanks. Oh, thanks very much. Believe me, he wasn't impressed. You know, I was just a faded little poet. It meant nothing to him, but that's okay. The last page of Jack Kerouac's On the Road, he something that I just love. And he says, and don't you know that God is Pooh Bear? And I've always loved Pooh Bear and the character in the A.A. Milne story. So I just love that line, and I came up with a poem in honor of Jack Kerouac, who's famous for Fallen. I mean, the worst thing that ever happened to him is he became the king of the beats. That ruined him for any serious consideration for book awards or for anything at all, beyond, you know, getting a lot of women at the end of his readings, that kind of thing. But anyway, God is Pooh Bear. When I was but a tuneful boy, I loved my sweet mournful toy, and I played the tone companion there with my furry little creature, Pooh Bear. But something rank and odious still sank my song asunder and was killed. So I put my cuddly toy to box instead, and stealed back into my cold, hard bed, and shed a tear at what it all meant. My time with Pooh Bear had been spent. My best friend is gone. My little God is dead. These are more poems from Famous to Be Fallen. And since I modeled myself a little bit over, someone I never met, which was Sid Vicious, I did meet Johnny Rotten once, who was rotten to me. That's okay. He was not impressed by me either. I mean, I mentioned that our families both come from the same part of Ireland. He couldn't have given two shits, but that's okay. Anyway, this is called My Mannequin. I used to have a big mannequin with a wedding dress in my living room. God only knows why, but that's what I had in my living room for many years. And this is called My Mannequin Makes Modern Music. It's dedicated to Sid Vicious and Nancy Spungen. Put the straight jacket on my mannequin. Do violence to her violin. This is not a prison where I choose to listen. See what dances we remember, only with the complicity of the pagans. Shall we continue to find God and eat and sleep and fornicate? A new noise. The stuffiness of my old dreams behind closed windows and doors robs me always of intolerable breath. I'm dying, coupled with her big dyed blonde weave and wig, her large Hebrew nose, over and over, so boring. She's so catatonic. She's too afraid to speak to me, to move, to dance. She's stuck there in the corner, all the blood running all over my t-shirt with the red swastika. She has pitched her problem square over there. So put the straitjacket on her. Let me out. My mannequin makes modern music. That was for Sid Vicious and Nancy Spungen. And I agree, I have no idea what that poem means at all. This is to the most famous rebel who ever fell, and we all know who that is. It's Lucifer. This is to Lucifer, who instigated the whole fucking thing. And this is dedicated to Anne Frank. Half the brain is a spark, she whispered, at the parade of persons poxied, diseased, that passed her by. At the makeup she wore horribly lost, at this crime inflicted on time itself, at the hot little flies mincing little ballet, at their bony black countenance, at her skin shivering in the storm, at this bruted summer, at all the language drowned out. You know, the language of rotting fruit. All that language drowned out by the screams of the fire, at the cleansing of her marrow, at her hot and gaseous spirit for the first time unencumbered by her body as she flies free at last over little German villages and towns and cities. She's looking down. They never deign to notice at Satan, who instigated the whole thing. Mr. Anne Frank. Anne Frank. Okay. This is a poem called Me and My Machines. I met an actor named Crispin Glover in Los Angeles many years ago. Crispin Glover used to be in a movie called Back to the Future as Marty McFly's dad. And he's a very eccentric character. He lived in a huge factory building surrounded by machines, and his living room had one big chair in it. It was a big dentist chair, which is pretty gruesome. But it made me think of my own life and how I'm surrounded not with people, not with pets. I'm surrounded by machines. It's called Me and My Machines. Me and my machines mocking my tendons, my arms, my knees, molding my visions, my reveries, my dreams, manufacturing my music, making my food, my toast, my tea, manufacturing my sexual fantasies. My machines wake me up. My machines take me to work. My machines always make me up for the company that never arrives. Couple more. Oh, thanks. Thanks for that tepid applause. Excellent for the ego. Yes. Thank you. I'm going to join in. Thank you very much. I love tepid applause. It's just, I love the sound of it. This is Requiem for a Revolutionary, and then I'll have 2 more poems that will be it. And thank you for listening. And thanks to Heather Wood again and The Measure for having me. I used to admire Che Guevara. His Irish rebel hat with the gold star, his Latino bravado, his handsome demeanor. It's plainly easier to love and admire someone when they're good looking. Until one day I saw an old black and white film of Che announcing from a podium at the UN all the crimes of which he was happily guilty. I could clearly see him running out of thoughts and dreams and myths and finally slogans until he finally ran out of words. Or were they just excuses? And that's for Che Guevara. Che has the same background as me a little bit. He's part Irish on his dad's side. His dad was last name Lynch. Okay. Susie and the Banshees, they have a song called The Happy House. And the lyric goes, this is the happy house, to pretend all is well, there is no hell. Now the happy house for me is a sane asylum. And I visited 3 or 4 people at CAMH, and when it was even worse, I can't remember the name of what it was when it was even worse. But I always noticed that insane asylums make people go insane. They never seem to, I mean, wouldn't they do that to you if you ended up in a little room where you're constantly observed and people in little white lab coats, and they're suspicious of you all the time, and they bind you up in a straitjacket? That would drive anybody berserk, so they're kind of counterproductive and counterintuitive. Okay, it's called The Happy House. In this decorated hospice, the walls are always irritably peeling. You see, pain is to be analyzed later, you know. And we always live in this airy architecture designed by a mind that is not our own. Here, I hear attic whispers. Wind-up locks darken the corners. Ancient violence always stains the rug. Here, scenes are recorded, then erased. Fragments of eyes, ears, and noses are always peering in at me through a peephole. At night, I hear footsteps dying in the hallway. I see myself kicking and swinging above a dance floor. No more antiseptic distractions. I see some ghosts in white lab coats entering my room. And then I remember, you only see devils when you're in hell. Oh, thanks. Thanks very much. Okay, this is the last one for the ladies, and then I'll do one little song, poem. This is dedicated to Janis Joplin, whom Anita met a long time. I envy you. This is for Janis. I shared you. I shared you. Janis, I never had you alone. I shared you with a bottle of bourbon, Southern Comfort, the acid you dropped, the magic mushrooms you swallowed, these drugs and visions of more. Always I shared you. I never had you alone. I shared you with the hipsterish hangers-on in your kitchen, the spirit of Texas that stalked you. Then me, then we, the fanatic fans, lover mothers. They always wanted you to always be Janis. They shared you. And I shared you with the emotional cul-de-sac of a grandmama who never listened. I shared you with the fears of a child who was once abandoned in the snowstorm. Always I shared you, Janis, with 1,001 phantoms of your suspicions, with 1,000 black angels dancing on the head of a pin. Always I shared you for the attacks of schoolmates of long ago. I shared you with the river Styx from which you drank nightly. I shared you with the unholy trinity of girlfriends that preyed on you, then on me. I shared you, baby, with the rock. I shared you with a roll that balled into my brain, wiping out my existence as you danced in front of what used to be me for you. I shared you with your Mrs. Hyde, who regarded me always with a dark-eyed demeanor. I shared you with my Mr. Hyde, his desires, his designs. Always I shared you. I never had you alone. I shared you with your fear that wore a low-cut red dress at the Mad Hatter's tea party. Janis, I never had you alone. Thank you. Okay. I know I'm going a little too long. I'm sorry about that. I didn't mean to be extra long, but when you work all day to be cool, and it doesn't happen, you know, you gotta give the person a break. This is called, as soon as I get this thing in tune, Night Makes Us All Movie Stars. Joni Mitchell once said that we're stardust, we're golden, and she's right. As scientists have discovered, we are made of stars. We came from the stars. So she's, again, a great genius artist that knew before the scientists did what we are. And this is called Night Makes Us All Movie Stars. You make everyone a star. our starlight. Those bits of light are but reflections of the shiny suits we wear large in our legend. Night, you make us all movie stars. You turn city streets into giant studios in which we all perform. We wear a mask which reveals as much as it covers up. Night, you make us all stars. You turn the world into a haunted palace full of half-formed wispy creatures who talk louder, rise harder. You make us monsters of a titanic id. Night, you make us all stars. Night, you make everyone a star tonight. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks,